For reasons that I shan't understand, I have been delegated or relegated to answering questions of young people who have questions about what is going on in Israel, in Gaza, with Hamas, with the Palestinians, with everything. Two separate occasions. Two separate occasions. And it's great. And I take my time. And the question is, who's right? Israel or Hamas? They don't say Israel or the Palestinians. They don't even know the name of who they're talking about. And I had a friend of mine who's Jewish told me that his two sons are basically turning to him and saying, we can't believe what Israel is doing to the Palestinians in Gaza. And he said, what do I tell my Jewish sons about this? And we had a very long talk. And I want to share with you what I told him. I want to share with you. And it's a wonderful primer. It's the chance for you and me to discuss the basics, the rudiments, the abecedarian underpinnings of what this is about. Who's right? It's the simplest question. Perhaps too simple, perhaps too base, but perfect. So get ready, strap in. You're going to love this one. And as we always say, let me thank you for joining us. We're starting an hour later than usual. It is a cold and rainy New York City night. I'm so glad to be here with you. Got a hot mug of Joe, and I'm here enjoying my time with you. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. And let me remind you, folks, that we are right now brought to you by our great sponsor. Not only that, your support as well. Our good friends at My Patriot Supply. My Patriot Supply right now has a 25% off a 3-month emergency food kit. This is the best entree, the best introduction, the best chance for you to find out why thousands and thousands have made one of the wisest decisions ever is to buy and prepare for prepared food, I should say, in the event of an emergency that you know and I know is coming. We don't know what it is. We don't know in what form, but there will come a time when stores are closed. And you will say to yourself, thank God I listened to Lenny and I got this wonderful introductory package, which I have since built on from preparewithlionel.com. The link is there. Please go do the right thing yourself. And we don't know how long this is going to last. 25% off a 3-month emergency food kit. And while we're on the subject, our great friends at mypillow.com have deals aplenty for you like you cannot believe. Overstock sales, clearance sales. Right now, the slipper sales are like nothing you've ever seen. The sheets, the percales, Giza, name it. They are the finest and the best and the most reputable and the greatest titans of free speech in addition to everything else. I'm not saying you should purchase stuff because Mike Lindell put his heart and soul on the line, but it couldn't hurt. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. And don't forget our other dear friends, okay? Okay. Now, let me start with you. Let us begin with this. I sit down with young folks and I say, let me explain to you some things and you might be able to work this out. Is this your first rodeo, as they say? And they say, what do you mean? I said, well, what do you know about war? What do you know about war? Are you familiar with the Vietnam War? I was listening to a wonderful lecture. In fact, it was John Mearsheimer in discussion with his son about Vietnam, and everybody should listen to it. First, are you familiar with what war is about? Death. Soldiers don't die. Well, in World War II, you had, Normandy and Omaha Beach, that kind of thing, and the Battle of the Bulge, and, civilian death was certainly a part of it. But in regular warfare, it was troops against troops. There was the French resistance, there was others, but it was uniformed troops against uniformed troops, country against country. That's the way it was. It doesn't work like that anymore. Do you understand this? It doesn't work like that anymore. Next, this is the first time, and there's only one in particular, I said, this is your first time you've ever dealt with death, right? Yeah. If you've Do you know what it is? Do you know what we did in the Vietnam War? Do you know what we did to children? And we didn't do it because we were maniacs and psychopaths. War destroys humanity, not just from the person you're killing, but the person who's doing the killing. Our good friend, the good doctor, Eric Thaddeus Walters, says IDF reportedly annihilated the Aleppo International Airport a few hours ago. Iran threatening boots on the ground. Conflicting reports on IDF invasion has or is about to occur. Mediterranean nervous. Thank you for this. Remember, you were the first one, ETW, during our COVID. Remember this? Of course you remember this. Eric was our first pal in Roma, explaining how the world was preparing for that. That was something. And by the way, if ever I'm in Rome, you are going to be my tour guide. I do not know if you are still doing the adventure I meant to ask, but if anybody needs your services, I highly recommend you. Catch Up, thank you so much, Catch Up. Thank you so much for that. Let us begin with this. Let us begin with this. Let us talk about this and why this situation is unlike any other situation. I thought Vietnam was nuts, but it was simple. We went into Vietnam and we left Vietnam. We went in there thinking we could bolster and help the South Vietnamese. That went nowhere. And from 65 to 73 or whatever, to 10 or whatever, who the hell knows? Actually, before that. And we left. And we're friends with them now. Everything else, North Korea, not exactly friends, we left. We went over there and we left. And we went over there. And then you have a civil war. Civil war, we win. Somebody wins, somebody loses. It doesn't matter. They're settling down. This is never going to settle down. Let me say this again. Remember this. Start off. Take all of your history. Push it aside. This will never, ever be resolved. Let me say this one more time. I don't think you understood that. I don't think people grasp what I'm saying. I know this bothers people. I'm going to say it again. This will never be resolved. Somebody decided that in this particular area, that it was so thousands and thousands of years old, warring factions from groups of people, and the biggest, the Jews and the Muslims. There's Christians, but the Christians for the most part were, and we got to throw Rome into the mix and Constantine. We're not going to complicate the matter. We're going to try to simplify it. Jews, Muslims, Jews, Arabs, Israel, whatever. This is this group. Diaspora, thrown out, kicked out. It's been a mess. It is. Most people would say, I am getting the hell out of there. I don't care about anything about my history. Those people want to kill me. I want to get the hell out of there. That's what I would say. Not Israel. Oh, no. And not anybody else for that matter. Everybody says, we ain't moving. This is ours. Me, again, Thank God I'm not running. I would have not been a Jewish hero. I was like, Montana looks good right now. They got some land that we can really big. Nope, nope, nope. This is where it starts. Understand this. I'm not asking you whether you like it. I'm not asking you whether it makes sense. I'm not asking you anything. I'm telling you, this is what we're talking about. 1948, you know what hits the fan. And we're off to the races. Now, that doesn't mean things were okay before by any stretch of the imagination. Believe me, anti-Semitism, it is so pernicious. In fact, there was one of the best lectures on the history of this. It's different. It exists today. It's not like there's anti-Catholic, there's anti-Muslim, anti-Arab. Not like this. No, 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 no. If you think that it's just another example of our collective hate, you have no idea what you're talking about. It is so embedded, so interwoven, so in the collective system. And we're not going to argue about that. I'm not going to argue why. I'm telling you the truth like I'm giving you a lecture. I'm telling you this is what you understand. These are antecedents. These are precursors. This is part of the stew. I'm telling you, we're going to throw this into it. So you got ancient people, ancient lands, anti-Semitism, and they're all crowded in together, and they all hate that person, that group. Israel, hate them. Hate them. And before Israel was known as Israel, hated the Jews. And you can say whatever you want. You can you gotta understand it. I'm making it as simple as possible. Okay, 1948, we're there. Everybody else, UN. You think people would say, you know what? Let's live in peace. The hell with it. We're adults. Oh, no, 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 no. Not Egypt, not Jordan, not Syria. No, no, no. Let's wipe them out. You're not gonna have that. I'm not arguing whether it makes sense. I'm telling you the way it is. And they started. So in 67, oh my. Well, first of all, there was a first. I don't even think the ink was dry on the deed, so to speak, before all hell broke loose. Well, 67 came along, and Israel not only kicked their ass, got more land, went to the Sinai, got this. I mean, it was like, what? How did, remember what I'm telling you? When you have a group of people that fight and they want to fight, when their heart is there, when their heart, any group, I don't care if it's look at speaking of look at the NVA, the regulars, and the VC who actually hated the South. Oh my, plus that's their land. See, we don't understand that. Americans don't have this thing about land. We just had this, we grabbed it, we took other people's land, but it doesn't make sense to us. It doesn't make sense to us. The idea of having our family, our cemeteries bulldozed, and our churches and our history, and no, we don't, and thankfully we don't do this. So that's where we are. It gets better. Here's Gaza. Gaza, great real estate. Imagine being on the Mediterranean. Oh my God. Well, in 2005, and by the way, Gaza, the history on my private channel, which is a wonderful site, where I go into a little bit more freewheeling, well, a lot more freewheeling, because you got to be very careful. As you know, where we are right now, certain things we don't talk about. Do you understand what I'm saying? Certain things we don't talk about. Capiche? You dig? We don't, you know what I mean? But I can talk about it later on. So anyway, it's lionelmedia.com. You can sign up accordingly. Okay. Now, let's see here. Anyway, 2005, 2005. 2005, they make a deal. Ariel Sharon, Israel says, we're getting out, we're leaving Gaza. We're leaving. It's yours. Take it. Take Gaza. All you Gazans, take it. Sorry, take it. No. We're not interested in it. Take it. Really? It's yours. Take it. Okay. Take it. Take it. All right. Everybody's happy, right? No. Everybody's not happy. What do you mean? Nobody? Aren't they happy? Nope. What do you mean they're not happy? They're not happy. They don't want it. What do you mean they don't want it? Well, they want it. But, by the way, there's a link for the private. There you go. They don't want it. Well, who doesn't? Let me explain. They're going nuts over there. Now, at the time, somewhere around this, and this is the part that gets people crazy. Remember, we got Gaza over here. But before we get that, you've got really the Palestinian group, basically two groups. The West Bank, that's a Palestinian Authority, and then these folks. And these folks, we're talking about the lower. By the way, get a map, please. Refer to the map. Gaza right next to Egypt, lower, south, there it is. Okay. At the time, the people, the focus of Israel at the time, the real enemies, the ones that they absolutely were the most hated. I mean, was Yasser Arafat. Oh my God. PLO, Fatah, this guy, he looked like Ringo Starr. Bad news. Bad. This guy, he was a billionaire. Billions. Ripped them off. Oh my God. His wife. A lot of interesting stories about Yasser and why he died. And if he was poisoned, we don't know. But anyway, his wife, is in Paris. Anyway. So the story goes, and it's been repeated, it's been cited, nobody wants to acknowledge it. But the story goes, through some infinite wisdom I will never understand, Israel decides, let's create Gaza. I'm sorry, Hamas. Let's create Hamas. What? Yeah, that's a great idea. Why do you want to do that? Simple. It will act as a religious counterbalance to Arafat. See, we'll create this new faction to dilute what Arafat's doing, get in the way, impede, be a pain in the ass. You got that? It's great. It's brilliant. What could go wrong? You sure about that? Absolutely. We're going to create it. It's easy. We do it. And whenever Hamas gets out of control, we'll, quote, mow the lawn. They say, cut the grass. We'll just kind of like cut them down. Some religious, whatever. But they'll drive. And Arafat will go crazy. He goes, why you? I know who these people are. You created them. We sure did. There goes your power, Yasser. Yes, sir, that's my baby. Don't mean maybe. Well, guess what happened? Not only did that backfire, they loved Hamas and told Yasser, beat it. Now Hamas is in there. Hamas walks in, they say, this is great. What do you call this? Gaza. Oh, this is terrific. Now, meanwhile, at the time, you've got groups and levels. You like conspiracies? Oh, it gets good. Hamas is kind of like the lower level, the brown shirts, nothing really fancy, thugs compared to, and not in comparison. Later up the line, you got other folks. We say, hey, we like these Hamas folks because Iran is involved, and they basically are connected with Hezbollah. Hezbollah is Lebanon, but it's all Iranian pretty much. So they're all working together. All right. It's like National League, American League. It's the same thing. It's baseball. And they are loving this. Because, and I don't want you to ask, well, why are they doing this? Why don't they get along? I don't know. Byzantine, backwards, jihadist. I don't know. See, let me stop right there. Remember one thing. We don't know why. We don't understand the mindset. Just accept it. Be a realist. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. We'll let other people decide. What was the motivation behind that? What initially caused? I don't know. But all I know is Hamas is saying this is terrific. Israel says, you happy? Good. All right, you got your wish. Now leave us alone. They go, wait a minute. What the hell is this? There was a missile that just came from that. Oh, yeah. Who? Did you send a missile? Did you do that? Well, we didn't do that. Who did it? Hamas. What? The cut the grass Hamas? Yeah. We voted them in. Well, yeah, but wait a minute. They can't do that. Hey, tell them to cut it out. You tell them to cut it out. Not to mention, we're not exactly too upset over the fact that maybe, you know what I mean? Pay you back. Because you've been a pain in the ass a whole time. Okay. That gets out of control. Eventually, Israel says, we're not going to allow this. We're not going to allow this. We're not going to allow basically people in our country, because Gaza's in Israel, to be lobbing missiles at us. We're not going to have this. Just like Putin says, you're not going to have NATO on my border. Ain't going to do this. Israel said, we're not going to allow this. Now, you may stop and say, well, why did they do this? Excuse me. People are like that. Countries are like that. They say, you're not going to lob missiles at us. We're not going to have, Putin said, I'm not going to have a NATO base on my border. That's it. End of discussion. You got it? This is just the way it is. Okay? It gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse. Now we have basically checkpoints, and these folks are in essence locked in. They're not, Israel doesn't occupy it anymore, but Israel says, this is basically a garrison for Hamas. We're not going to be, but do you follow this? I'm not asking you whether you agree with it. That's reality. You would do the same thing. Now, during the course of this, Hamas says over a period of time, we're going to do something right now that is deliberately designed as a terrorist attack in order, and you can argue, is it to address the years of occupation and mistreatment? And by the way, has there been occupation and mistreatment? You can call it what you want. Mistreatment? You betcha. I don't think these Palestinians are lying. I don't think they're making this up. And it's not about, well, is it warranted? I'm not saying it. What I'm saying is, as a realist, these people are saying Israel did this to them. Period. This is what they're saying. You want to deny it? You want to say it's not true? You want to what? What would you like to do? What would you like to do? You want to dispute it? You want to say you've got it all wrong. Nobody's making your life a living hell. Nobody's been killed. You want to do that? Go ahead. Do you think they're kidding? Do you think they're making it up? Do you think it's just some part of some weird conspiracy? It's all a bunch of lies, or it's just misunderstanding? I don't, because you've got this situation that is so untenable, so incredibly, how it's lasted this long, I have no idea. So let me just get this straight. Fact number one, you can feel sorry for and support Israeli people, and you can also support and feel sorry for Palestinians. And their government or quasi-government or terrorist branches are another story. Do I make myself clear? You understand that? It's not either or. Because what people are doing is they're saying, what about this picture of dead babies? What about this? Look in Gaza. Look at this dead baby. That's terrible. What about this picture of the dead baby from Hamas? Well, that's different. What are we got trading cards? We're competing? Well, how many of those do you have? 10? I got 20. This is ridiculous. And this is where it all stops. Monopoly said, right here, I've decided that when I grow up, I'm going to be a millionaire. I practice every night by playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on my Nintendo. Thank you so much. Nintendo Wii makes me feel like $1 million. Well, thank you, Monopoly. Again, Mondo, I have no idea what this is. Let me stop right there. This is the impasse. I can't believe what Israel's doing because of the dead children. That is terrible. You're right. Do you know why? I don't know. I don't want to know why. Do you want to know what the story is? There is no answer for this. There is no answer. This is what people are saying. None. There's no answer for this. There's Hamas, but Hamas is different. People say Hamas is in response to something. Hamas is years and years of this. The chickens have come home to roost. You know what I mean? This is what people are saying. It's the same story. I'm not saying it's not. As I told my friend, listen to what your kid is saying. Your son, kid's in his 30s. Doesn't mean that he's crazy, but this is what they're saying. They can't get past this. And they're listening to people in Gazans, I guess. They've got an hour or a 24, whatever it is, to leave. They're going to be killed. What are you talking about? Leveling buildings? It's incomprehensible. They can't get past that. And I'm not saying I am surprised, but the reason why they can't get past that, and the reason why people, and I'm telling you, can't understand this is a couple of reasons. Number one, they don't understand war. Where have you been? Have you followed anything? I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying that should be the reason why, but I think it's a lot of times some of these people have been coddled. They know nothing about history. They know nothing about war. They know nothing about it. They know nothing about it. This is their first war. You go, look at this. There's death. Yes. What do you think war is? Well, that's wrong. Make it stop. You're at fault, and that's it. Would you like to hear the story about? No. And they will tell you Israel has no position. They brought it on themselves. They're the bully. They're the aggressor. That's it. And that's what they're saying. And you and I can sit there and say, well, son, you've got it wrong. It doesn't matter. That's what they think. And I've tried all kinds of analogies. I said, let me ask you this question. Let's assume that and a lot of these people really, I just thought their sense of history was a lot better, but it's really not. I said, let's assume, okay? Let's assume, for the sake of argument, arguendo, that that there is this radical group of Black activists in the 60s, okay? Let me turn my voice down here. And let's assume that these folks are how do I say this? Let's assume that they were very upset with the fact of mistreatment over the years, which most of us will say we understand completely as to how that happened. Okay. So they decide later to exact revenge on white folks. Do you hear what I'm saying? They are going to exact revenge. And they walk into I don't know what, something. They walk into some PGA, some white folks thing that white folks attend. I don't know. And they go in and they decide to blow this thing to smithereens. Okay. You got it? Okay. And they kill children, women, everybody. And when asked specifically, why are you doing this? Why? Why did you do this? Why is it that you decided to exact this pain and suffering on innocent people? Why did you do this? They say to you, years and years of being lynched, Emmett Till, Jim Crow, Black men who were lynched in front of their families, where white folks showed up in their Sunday best and acted like this was some kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, some kind of an event. Yeah, that's why we're doing it. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Can't write in a complete sentence. 1-800 Lionel now. Again, genius, perhaps, demented, most certainly. So let me say if I wanted to, what if I told you? So I tried this. I tried this with these young folks. I said, what if somebody did this? What if a black person said, "This is what I did. By the way, this is what I did. We did this." What would you say? Would you say, "Well, he's got a point. There were people lynched." They're right about that. He's right. There were people who were lynched and they were and Jim Crow and yep, Emmett Till. Nonsense. 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 You wouldn't put up with that, especially if you were the victim. If somebody did that to your home, if it was a Weather Underground, whatever, you said, "Why did you do that? Why did you blow up this school?" "Because of Vietnam." Okay. So the question is, you rarely ever hear somebody who does something on this particular scale, somebody who's involved in, oh, I don't know what you want to call it, uh, terrorist activities, and then all of a sudden they do this, and you say, "That's a crazy idea." There's never going to be any terrorists out there because they canceled the ropers. However, if they were and they were demented, they would call 1-800 Lionel now. Thank you so much. You hear what I'm saying? Am I making sense to you? Just tell me if I am. If not, I can start over. None of this makes sense. People are jumping into this for the first time. They're jumping in now, and they've never given this any thought. They're saying, "Excuse me, let me bring you up to speed. I'm seeing what's happening in Gaza. I see those pictures. Maybe I haven't seen enough pictures of what Hamas has done. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm being spared. I don't know. Maybe who knows what. But what I'm telling you is that these pictures, this story, this narrative, this iteration of the facts, this is affecting me, and I am siding, if you will, with them, and I am most angry with Israel for allowing this to happen. That's where we are right now. And you can try, you can do, and you can say whatever you want. You can say, and I'm not saying people are right or wrong. It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of perspective. They do not understand this idea of quote occupation and the like. They don't want to hear it. And then when you hear, this is interesting, when you hear, depending upon who it is, the narrative, and young people and other people hang around like-minded folks. Do you ever talk to people who lose their minds over climate change and you wonder, what the hell are they talking about? Because of their friends, because of the people that they hang around. Do you understand that? That's what they do. It's the people they hang around. It's their milieu. It's their perspective. And they can tell you whatever they want, and you can talk to them all day. You can't explain this. Now, you ask the simple question. I like this. I try it this way. What do you think should be done? What do you think should be done, and how do you think would be the best way to handle it? What would you do to accommodate this particular thing? What would you do? What would be the best thing? Name it. What would you do? What should Israel do? Anything? Move? Leave? What? What would you do with Hamas? Tell me. And you can tell when you ask people a question, they have no idea. Doesn't make anything different. It doesn't make Israel right or wrong, but there is no other side. They don't know what they don't answer the question. They say, "I don't know." But no, tell me, what are you supposed to do? What if you're in Sderot or Ashkelon or Beersheba, you're in the south? What are you supposed to do? When you say to your country, and you say, "Excuse me, I'm a taxpayer. Hello, Israeli government. Yeah, I'm an Israeli. And can you tell me why? Can you tell me, please, why is this happening? Why? What are you doing to stop this?" They're called Hamas. They're in Gaza. Are you going to do something about this? What do you do? Tell me what you do. They can't answer the question, or they say something stupid. I don't know what they say, but they say something stupid. So let me ask the question. This is the story. Someone writes, Palestinians are not able to stop those Hamas. They are hostages. Okay, fine. You're right. What is Israel supposed to do? What would you do? I want to know the great you're very smart people. What would you do? What would you do? Someone writes, "Get all the Muslims out of Israel and let them live in Egypt." I don't even know what the hell that's not gonna what are you gonna talk about? Egypt won't take them. Let's go, people. Please give Lionel a question. They have laws against terrorist organizations. Well, and by the way, did you hear one of the things they're saying right now? You didn't know this. Apparently, Israel has a very strong anti-gun series of laws. And a lot of folks are saying maybe if Israel had a firearm or the ability to possess them, they could have um, perhaps been effective. I don't know. That's all second guess. But I didn't know that. That absolutely uh, surprises me to no end. Truly, that surprises me. Oh, thanks, Cover Girl. No matter how little or how much you choose, the look is always natural. New True Blend Micro Minerals Foundation for easy breezy, beautiful Cover Girl. Thank you. Again, I'm in awe. I'm in awe. So let's go back. What do you who would do this? Tell me what you do. And by the way, I'm having conversations with young people. You're right about that. You're right. What would you do? Now let's assume. Do you think that maybe Israel's being heavy-handed? Let's say they are. What would you say? Hey, listen, I think there could be some other things. For example, there should be, I think, out of either good faith or something, some cordon of activity around Gaza, maybe peacekeeping units from Egypt and Jordan and Morocco and Bahrain and the Emirates and Saudi Arabia, and to come in there and say, hey, that's enough of this. You think that's possible? Would that be possible? I think that would be possible. Don't you think that would be possible? I think so. That's the first thing I would wanna do, but nobody's talking about that. So go ahead. What would you do? You're Bibi. I know Bibi. They don't like him and he's whatever it is. A lot of people, though, by the way, in Israel are saying, "You know what? You may not like him now, but when it comes to this kind of stuff, this is what" Bibi's kind of like Giuliani. Giuliani is, Giuliani is was at the time. He's great when it hits the fan, but whatever it is. Now, as we're speaking, let me stop right now. And Eric brought this up before. As we're speaking, Hamas is working with Iran, who's working with Lebanon, who's working with Hezbollah, and you are also there are different coordinated efforts with the West Bank, with Abu Mazen, all these other folks as we speak. These movements are going through the world, the movements, the marches. This is the biggest issue, the biggest. I have never, ever, unless I wasn't paying attention, seen anything like this where it is clearly Palestine versus Israel. They don't even want to talk about Hamas. They don't even bring Hamas up. Nobody dares talk about it. We had the mayor of New York issue this full-throated support speech for Jewish citizens, Israel. I mean, wow. You've got Biden coming out of the woodwork. And by the way, can you believe this professional wrestling hokum that Hannity's doing this time? The other night he had on Cornell West and Dershowitz yelling at each other. Okay, that's fine. And then he had on Vic Ramaswamy, who's a punk. I told you about Vic the day. What he's a come on. He basically was saying that Nikki Haley was somehow benefiting from. I don't know what the story was, but this was Hannity's time to maybe seek the perch of Tucker, who, by the way, who's been very good but completely ineffective. This is Tucker Carlson. Oh, that's good. That's it. How about our friend from Sears, by the way? Thank you. Sears has always saved you money, but now we can save your kids from a lifetime of embarrassment because their school pictures will never look better. Thank you for that. That is really good. Thank you for that. I can't listen to this crap anymore on TV. I haven't listened to cable news. I can't listen. I can't. I like to triangulate. I like to hear. I have been listening, trying to listen. Let me listen to Hamas, to their leadership. I can't find it, or there's a spokesman or somebody. I maybe they're not the best speakers. I want to hear this. I want to hear what I know. I'm not going to mention their names. There's some wonderful people, and they are terrific. They know they are to Israel in terms of city, but names what Jim Jordan is for dates. You know, when Jim Jordan speaks, he always gives it. And then on January 15th, Dr. Fauci, you came in, and then August 12th, you came in, and then, oh, wow. He's so great because he knows the dates. Well, these folks know the cities, and they're terrific. And I don't want to mention their name by heart, but they say the same crap over and over and over. It's like, I know this. And now they're so the best Palki Sharma from First Post. I can never remember this. Hang on. She is fantastic. It's yes, First Post. Vantage by Palki Sharma. Phenomenal. Wonderful. Not so much balanced, but just smart. So incredibly smart. Just, I want to know all of I want to know everything. Talk about white phosphorus, Willie Pete, and mechanism, all that. I want to know everything. I want to know the latest. I want to know what Russia's saying and China's saying. I want to know how this affects, because right before this happened, interesting the timing. And of course, to my young friends who are only talking about, not that it's, please don't think that I'm suggesting for a moment that dead children are not in any way, but whose dead children? Palestinian, apparently seem more of an impact than Israelis. And I'm not trying to debate. I'm not trying to convince people to be more, to enjoy a certain degree of equanimity when it comes to mourning and the like. Okay, fine. But the best stuff is that which is streamed and that which is foreign. Not so much alternative, but maybe. Now, what I've tried to tell you for the past 44 minutes is this thing called balance. Do you hear this? Someone write, go back to what? Precisely. This is intractable. Excuse me. There's no answer. Let me say this again. There's no answer. The only way this is fixed is if everybody agrees, all right, that's enough. That's it. There's no answer. There's no answer. I have got to tell you. Now, this might be. There has got to be a better way. There has got to be a better way to rid the area of Hamas than to basically destroy what amounts to destroying Gaza. Now, again, you might say, well, wait a minute. What do you know? It's a good point. I have no military credentials. I have no history. But I think when you're trying to explain to the world, if that matters, destroying an entire area and say there in order to get, the old expression, there was an Arab expression, they would burn their blanket to kill the fleas, right? Maybe it's overkill, maybe it's part. But somewhere along the line, somebody could pick up the phone and say, MBS, yeah, listen, you do know you could stop this tomorrow. Cutter, you could stop this tomorrow. You got it? You're the paymaster. Jordan, you could stop it. You all could stop it. Because if you don't stop it, they're going to level, Israel's going to level Gaza. Why? And they've said this. And now it's time for you to do something. Because I'm with most people when they say, that's a little excessive. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way because here's the bottom line. Are you ready for this? Listen to me. You're not going to get rid of Gaza, Hamas, by inspiring them, by making them martyrs. You're not going to do it. You are basically lionizing. It's almost an apotheosis, an elevation, a canonization. You're elevating them. There's going to be more recruits tomorrow because of what you're doing. You're saying we want to take out Gaza to get Hamas. Hamas is like, yeah, there's a superstructure, but this isn't, Apple or, SpaceX. This is a bunch of, with all due respect, a bunch of, thugs who, by the way, were very good in their coordinated efforts thanks to Iran. So let me say this again. I'm looking now at the rest of the Arab world. Are you going to say something? Are you going to do something? Do you plan on interceding at all? Anybody? Do you owe the world anything? Show some leadership? Grow a pair? Flex your muscles? Act like you're in charge? And MBS, I'm shocked beyond shocked. Or is this let's just let Israel go too far? Is that it? Because that's what I'm thinking. It seems to me that the fact that nobody's lifting a finger is like, you want this. You want them to do this? Is that it? Because you know they're going to do this. You know that when Bibi says, I'm going to flatten Gaza, he's not kidding. So one thing about Bibi, just like Putin. Putin doesn't lie. He doesn't lie. He doesn't say stuff. He means what he says. So is that where we're going? By the way, have you heard anybody ever say anything even remotely like this? What are people talking about? Do you ever watch this crap on TV? Do you ever, seriously, what do they talk about? Because the level that we're talking about right now is, okay, what's going to happen? Where is the leadership of this community? Now, you know and I know that they may hate each other in person, but Erdogan and Turkey's a kind of a interesting, you know what I mean? They're not really, it's like Iran. It's like, well, no, there's Shia versus Sunni, and they're not a Persian versus Arab. And there's just kind of, anyway. But you know that Bibi has been in conversation with these folks more than you ever know, and certainly not in public. You know you're not going to ever. They have to maintain this, but they've talked. Maybe they're emissaries or whatever it is. So the question is, what do you do? What do you do? Now we've done all this talking, and that's fine. I understand it. Okay, Bibi's going to level Gaza. Okay, got it. Any of you fellas, you're not going to do anything? No. Okay, you just answered the question. Does anybody ever be? And the reason why they don't want to say this is because of, frankly, are you ready for this? I'm going to say something to you. I'm going to say something to you that may shock you, but I'm going to tell you. The reason why this is because most politicians, American or otherwise, don't give a damn about Israel or any of these people. They couldn't care less. They put on a good show. They pretend. Oh my God. Especially now that, the election's coming. Why? Okay. But deep down inside, they're too selfish. They don't care about anything but themselves. They will say whatever they have to say, unless you're Vic Ramaswamy, who has diarrhea of the mouth and talks nonsense. He just speaks. He's like Ben Shapiro, just speak fast. And you think, isn't he smart? Is this guy smart? Do you know how fast he speaks? My God. He's fast. And you know who else is fast too? Is that whatever her name is. Anyway. Do you not see through this? Do you see this posturing? Do you see what we're coming on? They're sitting back and they're saying, well, let's see where this goes. They know exactly what's going on. And Iran, we know it's you. I know you know it's me. I'm just saying. We know it's you. You know you green lighted or green lit this. Hezbollah's next. You're going to have a two-front war. You know what's going on, yeah. Abu Mazen, you know you're next. We know what's going on. We know with the Palestinian Authority. You're going to see what's happening. Watch what happens. And by the way, you know who the worst is? You know who is the most ineffective of them all? The UN. Oh my God. They're sitting back like saying, go ahead. They don't want to. Do you see this? This is so clear. If anybody cares, people don't care about human life. Leaders of the world don't care about human life. They talk a good game. And we're sending the Gerald R. Ford, these battle ships, aircraft carriers, these battle groups or whatever it is, to do what? Kind of keep an eye on things? Okay. I bet you the people in Gaza are thrilled about that. Well, the Gerald R. Ford is coming. That's going to help. So let me ask you something. Do you see what I'm talking about? I told you initially, this is intractable. This isn't going anywhere. There's nobody fixing this. There's no fixing this. What you're about to see in the next whatever, unless somebody comes in and does something really drastic, they're going to take out Gaza. They're going to just and you're not going to see any, people are going to say like, I can't, this is like Dresden. We haven't seen anything like this. And because Bibi said it, he's got to go through with it. And a lot of folks in Israel are saying, do it compared to what they did with us. I think that's the biggest mistake anybody will ever make. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You know it. I know it. We all know that. You don't have to destroy Gaza to get Hamas. It's ridiculous. But if you're now, that doesn't mean you don't support Israel. That's another thing too. What does support Israel mean? Blank check? No. I've told you. I think we all agree with supporting and caring for and appreciating the individual lives of the people in Gaza, the Palestinians, the children, the mothers, the women, the grandpa. This goes without saying. Same thing with people in Israel. Do you think anybody, what do you think an Israeli wants to do? Same thing somebody in Gaza wants to do. Speak with their family, go to work, make a living. That's it. They're stuck in this. They're stuck because people at hierarchical levels are involved in this Machiavellian, I don't know what is geopolitical nonsense. But it all started with Hamas. It started with them recently. You could say, well, 2005. No. Right before this happened, Bibi was on his way to work out a deal with Saudi Arabia, and they had to put an end to that. And nobody brings up Hamas. Nobody. And now a word from Oreo. I'm going to read this because I think it's only fair. I love Oreo cookies. By the way, they're vegan. Did you know that? I went downstairs and poured myself a big glass of milk to dip my cookies in. When I went to the cookie jar, it was empty. Big Brother's stink. God, that's good. Thank you for that. By the way, vegan. Cool Whip, vegan. Beer, vegan. Oreos and beer, vegan. Not what I recommend, but in any event. Now, any questions? Do we have any questions, dear friends? Do we have any perspective? Any of your incredible, and I know your sapience and brilliance. Do you have anything to bring to the fore, to add? What would you do? What would you do? What would you do? Some of the most interesting things. Hopefully, women will be drafted in this war. I don't know what that means. 24% of the world is Muslim. It's almost as big as Christianity. Judaism is only 0.2%. Shouldn't Israel just leave? Now somebody wrote this seriously. Do you are you now? And I'm just going to ask you this question. And with all due respect, I'm not going to call out any names. But did you hear this? Should Israel just leave because their numbers in the world don't? Okay. I don't want you being my representative for Native American rights or indigenous peoples. Well, they're only 0.1%. Shouldn't you just leave? You can go to Australia. Hey, Aboriginals. Sorry. You're not even. I only talk to people who are of a certain magnitude, 25% and up. And in this country, whoever is the majority, you win. Sorry, black folks, you're only 14%. Wah, wah, wah. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, they really don't know what to do. People, you can tell, and people think with their ass. I'm sorry. They really, this is how we got it, because nobody understands this. You don't know anything about history. You don't know anything about war. You think there's this logic that somehow this logic, this means of handling this thing, in which people are going to say, you know what, this. Let me tell you something. As it is right now, unless someone intervenes, unless somebody says, whoa, wait, baby, hold it. I'll take care of this. Give me a minute. Of course, this has been going on, and why you would want to do this right now. But I promise you, MBS or somebody can get a hold. They can pick up the phone, call Cutter, and say, all right, that's enough. That's enough. Enough with this. I want everybody out. I want them out of just, it's done. Don't need to do this. Now, if you're able to stop it and you don't, what does that say about you? That means you basically allowed it to happen. And you're just as guilty as anybody else. So that's where we are right now. So we're going to be seeing this. Okay. McDonald's, it's a perfect made perfecter fresh beef. I'm loving it. Well, I'm sure you are. And thank you. I can see somebody, I was watching that guy, Lenny, and it's the weirdest thing. He has these people, he has these super chats from folks who are from like Oreos and Sears. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's weird. That old Lenny. Remember the woman years ago who said her mother would be listening, would hear her listening to the show and say, are you listening to Lenny again? I just think that's funny. So this is where we are, my friend. Here we go. Some of these are good. Let Saudi Arabia administer and disarm Gaza. They can do it without the massacre. Disarm Gaza? You mean Hamas? Disarm? They don't need to disarm anybody. They just say, that's enough. No more rockets. End of discussion. Look at this. We need truth and transparency from our elected leaders. Vote for Trump. This wouldn't happen if Trump were involved, because people would be afraid of him. You understand? Someone says here, Trump can't do anything to stop this. Heck, he has family ties to it. I guess Jared? Is that what you're saying? Is that what? Lionel seems to be a corporate sponsor magnet. I certainly am. It is weird. Let me see. Jared said he would never have happened under Trump's watch. Maybe. Let me ask this. What is it? When you say it wouldn't have happened, what is it? Hamas? It's Iran. It's Iran. Iran. It's Tehran. That's who it is. You dig? It's Tehran. That's the group. That makes sense to you? It's Tehran. And if you think that somehow Hamas is working in some independent thing, you're out of your mind. So here we go. Let's leave it at this. Remember, here's the deal. Bibi says, I'm going to level Gaza. I don't want that. I don't think it's a good idea. I think that's overkill. No pun intended. I don't mean to be cute. That's ridiculous. But that's what he says. And when he means level it, maybe, whatever. Sorry. These people are going to have refugees. No. Instead, the Arab leadership from West Asia, all these folks, that's the answer. And the fact that they're not doing anything means they have no interest. And that's what you got to tell everybody. In the meantime, people, young and old, are going to say, we don't care anything about this. They see this as children dying, people dying, and it's Israel's fault, and that's it. That's the way, that's the perception of some. Then you have other folks who, I believe, I'm sorry, but I'm a bit of a cynic. I think it's for political reasons. They are doing this full-throated, these statements that deal with support of Israel and the like. Oh, look, Rite Aid. Welcome to your pharmacy sign-in or create an account to refill, transfer, and manage your prescriptions from your history. Rite Aid. Thank you. That means you have to start a Rite Aid YouTube account with a YouTube email, and that's incredible. So anyway, dear friends, on a lighter note, today, you know what today was in New York City? Comic-Con. What the hell is Comic-Con? What? Have you seen this? You haven't. There were the Javits Center this afternoon. We're driving down 11th Avenue, headed towards downtown. And by the way, driving, oh my God. In the Yugo, a stretch, of course. Mrs. L had a meeting, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to drive you down there. It's like combat driving. You can't, going through Times Square is combat driving. And they have these huge, not billboards, but there's optics, and it looks, you cannot believe these screens, these monstrous. And they had I was trying to get my camera, they had the biggest one, we support Israel, big blue, the flag and the Mogen David, and just huge. It was raining in Frisco. Anyway, it was just nuts. But on my way there, Comic-Con was letting out. And these folks are walking around, and the Star Wars, like their hat, their capes and their little holsters for their guns. I don't understand it. Here's our good friends at Wikipedia. Rite Aid Corporation is an American drugstore chain based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It was founded in 1962 in Scranton by Alex Grass under the name Thrift D Discount Center. I didn't know that. Thank you. There you go. So anyway, Comic-Con. I know they're harmless, but these are lunatics. Harmless, but there's so many. I kept thinking to myself, what do they, don't tell me they say, well, we know we're not really shock troop, Star Wars, whatever these people are called, Jedi monsters or whatever we know. No, they don't. And the weed, and they all have the Fred Ziffel beard and the weed, and they're tatted up. And I saw levels of obesity in, and maybe you can explain this one to me. Years ago, haven't seen it in a while. Maybe you saw it, but years ago there were these people who, Eric, by the way, says Comic-Con, like undergrads and millennials pushing their 10-year-old children in prams, is prolonged infantilism and collapse of the collective West. Here. Maybe you've seen this, Eric. I don't know if they have this in Roma, but years ago they had women who would walk around with their big beer guts pouring over. It was like, a bare midriff. Big tender-bellied panis, this paniculus, these spare tires pouring over with umbilical, these umbilicus, like this navels that look like they could just like suction guns. My God, it's just anyway, horrible. And I'm wondering, why are they doing this? Why are you walking around with your gut hanging out? It's pouring over okay, that was then. You know what they have now? Steatopygian, huge, these tight pants, these skin tight, leotards or whatever they are, with morbidly obese people. Now listen, let me explain something to you. It's a free country. You should do whatever you want. When did this become attractive? When did this become attractive? I don't understand this. I don't think people should. I'm not trying to fat shame. I think you should be able to. But they're obviously going out of their way to say, look at this. Look at the keister on this thing. Look at this. It's like a Buick. Look at this. I'm walking around here in these skin tight things to show you. I mean, this, and you think, dear God, there used to be an old joke where people would say, do I look fat in this? Honey, do I look fat in this? Is my butt too big? People would, remember when women would tie jackets or sweaters around their waist to kind of hide the back end of a Kenworth. You know what I mean? There was some concern. And again, I don't think that's normal. I don't think people should ever feel funny, but it was different then. Today is like, there's no such thing as be embarrassed about what. This is great. I look terrific. This is great. I have basically 2 BMIs. I look like, bless his heart, Dick Butkus, but in his prime. I have no business wearing this. And as I walk from the back, it looks like 2 kids fighting under a blanket. When did this happen? That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. All right, dear friends, thank you for this. By the way, here is don't forget, that's the private channel. You know what I mean? That's that private channel thing. Oh, by the way, I want you to do me a big favor too. This is important. This is very, very critical. This is Mrs. L's YouTube channel. I want you immediately to sign up and be a part of it, because she has been doing some of the best work you can imagine to alert people and to let them know that you have signed on. Oh, here's our friends. Remember Monahan out of, I think wasn't it Detroit? No, Michigan, I think. Domino's. No matter your mood, a Domino's order is guaranteed to brighten your day. Got fired? Plan your next steps with a double decadence pizza in hand. Receive news that you're about to become a parent? The copy is fantastic. Right now, this is far too late for me, but a pizza would be really nice right now. Let me ask you very quickly, on a lighter note, what city has the best pizza, bar none? Give me the answer. Is it New York? I think the offerings are New York, Chicago, Detroit. Oh, New Haven, Beats. That's Very serious. I don't know about the other. Maybe St. Louis, maybe Cleveland. What are the cities that have the best? By the way, cheese, I don't do cheese. I like mine just with sauce, like at Roma style. Eric will tell you this. Maybe some veggies. I don't do cheese. But think about it. What country? Dave Portnoy, are you watching? A moron, an absolute bona fide, mouth breathing moron who's, anyway, New Haven, Teresa. Teresa, you were so right. New Haven, Connecticut, Frank Pepe's. There's other ones, Sally's or something. The Beats. Frank Pepe's is like, even the way they cut it, it's not even a circular. It's like it's these shapes. Incredible. I think Detroit is a very, from what I've seen, and I have had it, it's kind of sort of like Chicago, but that the pan, I think in Detroit they had these pans that they used in assembly lines. Now, New York style, I got to tell you something. Every John Minogue, by the way, thank you, sir, for a wonderful email. Thank you. That's all I'm going to tell you. Thank you. I answered you. Um, in New York, every corner there's pizza. There's that New York style, which, by the way, the Naples style. There's a place called DeFara. It was in Brooklyn. Number one pizza. To me, maybe, but to me, and that, that the style, the not the Naples, the whatever, that's kind of puffy and has the blistered. There is a balance where bread, dough, and sauce, I'm starting to salivate, is so perfect. It's almost like Domino's style, not Domino's, but that crust thickness. That's what pizza is to me. To me, Domino's says with Domino's, every city is the best pizza city in the world. You're right about that. Thank you for that. Neapolitan, yes, yes, thank you. There's a lot of that here. Not the biggest fan. It's okay. And they have the thing, they do the stuff, they do the margarita, and then they put oil on top of it. Why? And they spin it around and they take it out 2 minutes later, and there it is. It's okay. It doesn't. If I could do a show, if I could have one of my favorite things I would love to do. And I'm telling you, if ever I find out I've got 6 months to live, I'm going to go on a barbecue thing and just, but I would love to go to everybody's city, no matter where it is, no matter the country, and find out what you have in your town that's just special just for you. I love watching this on YouTube about specialties, weird things, whatever. Because you know what? I know this sounds crazy. I know this sounds really Pollyannish, but I'm going to tell you. If we were able to sit down and share food, we would never be at war with anybody. Countries is a different story. So, by the way, Domino's, thank you so much. Eric Thaddeus Walters, dear friend, thank you for your kindness. Wikipedia, thank you. Rite Aid, McDonald's, Oreo, 1-800-Lionel now. Sears, CoverGirl, Monopoly, thank you. Ketchup, thank you for this. Thank you for your kindness. It may be funny and it may be, joking around, but I appreciate it nonetheless because it's someone's hard-earned money, and that means more to me than you can imagine. Thank you, dear friends. All right, we will see you tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel, 8 a.m. Have a great and a glorious night. Thank you for this. If you pray for the poor people who live in this area of the world, who must be so I can't even imagine what they're going through. I can't imagine. And for what? I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, dear friends. Have a great and glorious day. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m. But don't forget, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.